multiple things are going on here. The Strait of Hormuz closed. Oil prices soaring. Natural gas from Qatar cooked. The Iranians don't need to win on the ground. They're creating an economic nightmare for the world. The goal isn't to beat the American military. They know they can't. They know they're going to get destroyed. The goal is to hold on and create economic turmoil and pressure the United States and hurt the United States economically. They know militarily they'll never win. So all they have to do is hold on. Destroy America's footprint in the region, destroy their credibility in the region, make other countries not want to host them anymore, remove their footprint in the Middle East, and then hurt them economically in a midterm year. Iran continues its attacks on the Gulf states' oil infrastructure, including the first major attack on Oman, targeting an oil storage facility, further advancing its shutdown on the Strait of Hormuz. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the Strait of Hormuz, and let's talk about how this is up everything, okay? Let me be clear about this. And it kills me because we got so many, it's like, and I was going to show you guys, like, you got YouTubers like these dudes right here. Here, let me show y'all. So I've seen like a lot of these YouTubers that are like super pro-Trump, like this guy, Max Afterburner. We're going to watch that show as well from Propaganda Co. because he does a really good breakdown on there. But like I've watched like a lot of these YouTube channels, like Warzone, whatever, that are like super pro-Trump going to war with Iran. And these niggas are, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, if I'm going to be all the way honest with y'all, like these dudes are stupid. Holy shit. They're like talking about like, oh yeah, we're totally dominating. We're destroying Iran. Yeah. Hey, dumb. That's not winning the war. Like, people are so stupid. So let's go through this. Like, dude, when I say like there's like MAGAtards, like MAGAtards, this is what I'm talking about. These guys are not America first. Like, if you're really America first, you would understand that this war is absolutely, it makes no sense. And we're gonna have a very difficult conversation that like a lot of these commentators, like guys like this dude, that like sit there and like just like slurp Trump all day, will never tell you guys. This war, guys, is not about winning with boots on the ground and killing as many people possible. That's not what's going to be the W. Now, let's go ahead and establish what the winning parameters are for each party, okay? So let's go with the United States. The United States W is going to be a regime change. Israel wants this. The United States wants this. They've tried to walk it back, but that's effectively what it is. They want a regime change, which means you are going to need to completely topple the government and put someone in that is pro-America / pro-Israel like the Shah, okay? Here's the problem with that. You are going to need to invade a country of 90 million people that has treacherous terrain, that is way worse than Afghanistan that we struggled with, that is 4 times bigger than Iraq with a superior military, okay? With 1 million soldiers, okay? Right now, Trump is trying to get some ragtag Kurdish niggas to invade, and they're going to get cooked. Why? Because the IRGC understands their territory, and they have the mountains on their side. They're going to have to invade from eastern Iran, okay? So let me show you guys Iran on the map real quick and show you guys how this is. So this entire area here, all of this, the border, okay? This is all extremely mountainous, unforgiving terrain, okay? Getting material, getting support, supply lines, etc. This is going to be hard to do for a, like, real military, okay? Like, for the United States, this would be impossible to do. You want some ragtag Kurdish niggas to do it? They're going to get absolutely obliterated, okay? The IRGC is a competent military with, like, damn near 1 million strong, and they know these mountains. The defending military almost always has an inherent advantage over the invading military, okay? The U.S. would have a hard time doing this, let alone some Kurdish ragtag. So what does this mean? Well, when the Kurds get their kicked, that means the United States is going to have to step in. So this is why Trump and Pete Hegseth keep saying we are not ruling out putting boots on the ground, okay? And honestly, it's looking like that's a very real reality that's coming our way. So that's number one. So for the United States to win, they need to effectuate a regime change. Now, obviously, they have a superior military, superior air force, superior ground force, superior everything, superior navy, etc. But the barometer to success, the level of success, is extremely hard to attain. We tried it in Iraq, we could barely do it then, and that was with a weaker military. Okay? Now, what is the barometer of victory for the Iranians? To just survive. To just survive. So when I see YouTubers like this right here, right, slurping Trump, talking about we are destroying them with our B-2 bombers, and we're destroying this, and we're destroying that, and he's showing footage of them literally bombing paintings, right? Because, by the way, they were bombing paintings. Yes, the Israelis and the U.S. were bombing paintings on the floor that they thought were like helicopters and shit like that, okay? Or destroying a navy that no one gives a fuck about, that isn't their strength. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, these guys are stupid. Like, just... So again, the metric of success for the United States is a regime change. The metric of success for Iran is to simply exist and wait it out. Now, here's the problem with this war of attrition, okay? The United States has multiple bases all across the Middle East that have been getting bombed and pummeled relentlessly, okay? That's bad. So the Iranians have basically disrupted and dismantled the United States' ability to project power in the Gulf like they were before. Next, now they're creating economic warfare. How are they doing this? They've shut down the Strait of Hormuz, this choke point right here. Now, the Strait of Hormuz, guys, is a tiny little choke point that's about 20 miles at its narrowest point, right, where something like 20 to 30% of the world's oil and energy goes through, okay? When we first started covering this conflict last week, before the war started, what was a barrel of oil? Like 50 bucks? Let's see what it is now. Now it's 82 to 83 per barrel. So it's going up higher than I even predicted. Also, I want you guys to keep in mind. So Qatar LNG, LNG, right? Exclusive, Qatar shuts gas liquefaction, will take weeks to restart. Why is this bad? Well, Qatar LNG was making somewhere around 20% of the world's natural gas, okay? That is utilized to warm homes all over Europe. So two bad things are happening right now. Oil prices are soaring. We're talking about $82 to $83 per barrel, and 20% of the world's gas has pretty much halted. Okay? Now, this is going to create an enormous amount of economic strain. Why? Because the only other country that makes this level of gas in the world is who? Oh, Russia. But wait, aren't they in the middle of a war right now with Ukraine and heavily sanctioned? And all the Europeans said, we're not going to use your oil because you guys invaded another country. Well, guess what? Now them niggas got to play uncle. Now the Russians have a lot of leverage, because they got about 30% of their reserves in the tank somewhere, and Qatar shut their shit down for two main reasons. Number one, to create more pressure on the United States and Israel, because Europe now is going to have to go to the United States because the Gulf countries tried. As they were getting bombed to smithereens, guess what the United States did? They mobilized their THAADs and a lot of their air defense to Israel. Sucks, doesn't it? Gulf states are figuring it out that the United States cares a lot more about Israel than their partners in the Gulf as they get destroyed by the Iranians and drones. Right? So multiple things are going on here. The Strait of Hormuz closed, right? Oil prices soaring. Natural gas from Qatar cooked. And that's because that's the other reason too. So Qatar closed it for two reasons. Number one, so that the Iranians don't destroy it, right? And then number two, to put pressure on the United States to end the war, because they've been begging the United States to get this war stopped. But the Iranians aren't having it, and the United States aren't having it either. At least they're not going to go through the Gulf intermediaries. And the Gulf tried to reach out to Moscow for help, but Putin really can't do nothing either. And why would he? It benefits him. Russian gas is up 50% in the market. It's probably up even more now. This was a couple of days ago when I was reading. You guys see where we're going here? The Iranians don't need to win on the ground, okay? They're creating an economic nightmare for the world. That's what they're doing. Now, with that said, they're also destroying radar, and they destroyed a THAAD, one of the interceptor devices that the United States had lent out. Here's nothing. They're going to have to start moving THAADs from the Western Pacific to the Middle East. Guess what that does? That opens up the door for China. You know, China's been eyeing Taiwan. We've been talking about that for a minute, haven't we? As the United States is focused on the Middle East and fighting Iran in a war of attrition, which actually benefits Iran, the Chinese are just sitting there waiting as we pull resources from South Korea and from Taiwan. So Trump originally went into this war wanting it to last 4 to 5 days, right? Obviously, it didn't work out like he planned. He thought, we killed Ayatollah day one, the people are going to rebel, we're going to have a new leader, we'll be good, regime change, let's go, we're back open by Monday, Tuesday, markets are stabilized, oil prices don't go up, we'll be straight. Well, that didn't happen.
Nope.
He thought, okay, let's just keep bombing them, they're going to rise up, and they're going to do a regime change.
Nope.
Now what is he doing? He's talking to the Kurds, trying to get them to invade and rise up and do a regime change. Well, I'll tell you this, them niggas are going to get slaughtered. And while this is happening, gas prices are soaring. Europe has an enormous amount of pressure on them because they can't get Russian gas no more because they have those sanctions, remember? And guess what? The Europeans, they built their entire sanction package of gas energy around Qatar, which is closed now. And they closed it strategically because they want this war to end because they're getting bombed. And so are all the other Gulf states. Embassies getting bombed all across the Gulf. Military bases, American military bases getting bombed all across the Gulf. Radar's getting destroyed all across the Gulf. So what the Iranians are doing is they're destroying America's foothold in the Gulf and making them look bad with the Gulf countries. So when this war is all said and done, what do you think is going to happen when America says, hey, we want to build a base in Saudi Arabia. Hey, we want to, rebuild the base in Al Udeid, or we want to rebuild in Oman and Qatar and Bahrain. They're going to say, get the out of here. Y'all niggas didn't protect us when it mattered. Get out of here. They're going to give America the... Because what are the Iranians doing? They're hurting our credibility in the region. When push comes to shove, the protection that we promised them in the region isn't being delivered. Do you guys get that? That's why these analysts piss me off. We're bombing the out of Iran. They're getting destroyed. Yeah, that's not the W, dumb. You niggas are so dumb. It's because they had to suck Trump off so they can't be analytical and look to the long term. The Iranians want this war to last long. That is what they've been waiting for. That is why they have underground cities. Okay? They have underground cities, chat. Okay? The goal isn't to beat the American military. They know they can't. They know they're going to get destroyed. The goal is to hold on and create economic turmoil and pressure the United States and hurt the United States economically. They know militarily they'll never win. So all they have to do is hold on. Destroy America's footprint in the region, destroy their credibility in the region, make other countries not want to host them anymore, remove their footprint in the Middle East, and then hurt them economically in a midterm year. And since all these other analysts are MAGAtards, they can't tell you this. I can, because I actually love this country. I understand what the strategy is that these guys are employing. They knew they were going to get cooked from a military standpoint. Why do you think they built underground cities that bunker busters can't get through to? Huh? Why do you think they have hundreds of these cities all across the country? Iran is huge. It's the size of Western Europe, chat. The math doesn't do due diligence. They have thousands upon thousands of missiles stockpiled. Because here's the reality. The United States and the world will never be the same after this. We have proven to the Gulf states that we can't protect them. By the way, that's the only reason they let us have their bases there. So think about this. You're a prince in Saudi Arabia or UAE or any of these countries. You're not used to war. You never have war. You don't even have crime. There's no such thing as people committing crimes and shootouts in your country. You are one of the safest countries in the world. You thrive on tourism. Your entire economy is built on tourism and safety. Next thing you know, you're getting hit with bombs. People are investing in your country. Now they're pulling out. Tech companies pulling out. People trying to get out of there. Bahrain, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar. That's how all these countries are. No war, super safe, super clean, built on tourism. You let the Americans put a base in your country for safety, to protect you. That's the only reason you let them build a base there. And they're not even doing their jobs. And not only are they not doing their jobs, they're protecting the instead of you. Okay? Let me give you guys a big red pill. All of these Arab countries hate Israel. They hate Israel. They don't want them there. They know it creates a lot of problems, but these Gulf states are I'll say it. They're so they understand in order for them to have peace, in order for them to have the money, to have the infrastructure, to get the investment, they have to play nice with Israel because Israel sides the United States. But deep down, they hate them. So for them to finally see with their own two eyes, will push come to shove and the bombs start dropping, that they're protecting the instead of them when they've invested billions upon billions of dollars? Ooh, that burns. That really burns. That really burns. Because guess what? The Iranians were right. The Iraqis were right when they told them, you guys are owned by the and the Americans, and you guys are a bunch of niggas when they tell them this, because they tell the Gulf states this all the time. That's one of the biggest criticisms that the Gulf states get. Now they're seeing it. The rubber's meeting the road. Bombs are dropping. USA protecting. They're protecting Israel and that burns in the Muslim world, baby. That burns. Trust me. All my Arabs know exactly what I'm talking about right now. And suddenly the GCC is starting to realize that the money, the power, the affiliation with the United States, the oil, it doesn't matter. They're realizing, they're feeling a taste of what their Arab brothers have been experiencing for decades. And they're getting a big black pill that the United States is the reason they're getting hit, and the United States is not protecting them from getting hit. That's the problem. Because here's the other thing you guys need to understand. The Iranians told them clearly, if the United States attacks us, we'll attack every single Gulf country that hosts a U.S. base, because they are using your bases to stage their F-35s. They're using your bases to coordinate. They're using your bases for air refueling tanks. They're using your bases to attack us. So we will attack every single one of you Gulf if they hit us. And what happened? The United States hit them alongside Israel. Now the Gulf states have to pay the price. Ooh, that burns. You do your transactions in US dollars. You have a US base. Despite the fact that all of your people tell you, get America out of here. Just so you guys know, here's another big red pill for you guys. The Arabs that live in the Gulf states don't want the Americans there. The leadership wants America there, but the people are like, why the we work with the Americans? They oppress the Palestinians. They support the Zionists who kill Muslims every single day. So think about that. They bend over backwards. They prop up the US dollar with the petrodollar. They get a promise of protection. They get the promise of support. They get American bases put in their countries, contrary to what others want. This is the whole reason why Osama bin Laden flipped out on the Saudi Arabian royalty, by the way, was because Americans were defending Saudi Arabia. Osama bin Laden told them that you can't have these capitals protecting you. They don't give a damn. Isn't that crazy? That's a fun fact for you guys. You guys didn't know that probably. This is what got Osama bin Laden kicked out of Saudi Arabia. Osama bin Laden said, you can't have infidels protecting you. I will protect you. And they said, get the out of here. Gave that nigga the eat. Sent him to Sudan. That's where he became radicalized and started Al-Qaeda. Oh, man, that burns, doesn't it? Anyway, I digress. But the point I'm trying to make here is this. The American bases that are in the Gulf are the reason why the Gulf is being attacked. But the bases were supposed to be there to protect them. So there's no way, like unless the Saudis are and the Gulf states are, there's no way they're going to let the United States have a military presence anymore. It puts a target on their backs. So again, what are the conditions of victory? The conditions of victory for the United States is a regime change that is extremely difficult to do. They're going to need boots on the ground, and they're not going to be able to win with just firepower and air power. They're bombing the out of Iran, cool. They're destroying all their infrastructure, cool. But that's just a part of the win. So in other words, the barrier to success for the United States is significantly higher than that of Iran. These idiot analysts, these MAGAtards, they think, oh, we win just by destroying it. No, you create a humanitarian crisis, just like you did with Iraq. You open up the floods for people to come in and f the country up and make it less stable like before we've done. It's like these niggas don't watch history at all. Idiots. And all the Iranians have to do is just hold on. And here's the problem that the Iraqis and all these other countries that we fought didn't do. The Iranians are making it hurt economically. 3 days, 4 days, we're on day 4 of the war, day 5 of the war. Gas prices, a barrel of oil right now is already over $80. Last week it was like 50 or 60. Gas prices are about to go through the roof. Qatar has stopped. LNG energy, 20% of the world's natural gas, cooked, gone. And here's what you guys need to understand. When oil doesn't flow and natural gas doesn't flow, everything else starts to stop. The world is built upon these types of energy, of building things, okay? Gas is extremely important for building steel. Steel, as we know, is heavily needed and utilized in everyday things that need to be built up. Oil fuels everything around us. And it's just a matter of time until you're going to feel it when you're at the grocery store. The loaf of bread that you pick up today might be $2 to $3 to $4 more expensive in a month. And for the Iranians, they want it to go that long. Trump doesn't. Trump originally wanted this to go 4 to 5 days. He realized that the rise up didn't happen. He thought it was. He banked on it. It failed. Now we're here. Now we're going to be in a war for a month. And by the time we hit a month, that's when industries really start to feel it. Okay? So if we're still in war for a month, that's not going to be a good sign. We're talking about a barrel of oil being $100 plus. Really bad. So when it comes to asymmetric warfare like this, guys, it's not about winning militarily. It's about making it hurt for the other side where they don't want to necessarily win. Just like Vietnam. We lost Vietnam. We had air power. We had everything. What did these niggas do? They built tunnels. They used guerrilla warfare. You know, soldiers were walking into traps, getting up. And the thing that kills me is this war isn't necessary at all. And it doesn't benefit us at all. Got these idiots like this guy over here, right? Let's like break down one of these like MAGAtards, like this guy right here. This nigga's weird. But let's go ahead and watch it. And I'll show you guys like why this type of analysis, like this is what I call like MAGAtard commentary. We'll watch it. Because all he's going to do is boast about American air power and American superiority militarily. But he doesn't realize that that's not how you win, dumb. That is not how you win. Like this is insane cope about beating a military that has no intention of beating you militarily, and they know that they can't beat you militarily, and they've been preparing for this for decades. So what they're doing is they're bleeding out the United States financially. Oh, I forgot that part. Let me mention this as well. Okay? So not only are they hurting us economically from natural resources like oil and gas, right? Interceptor missiles, guess what? Those are really expensive. And guess what? They're running out of them quickly. I think Qatar said something along, they have 3 to 4 more days left of them. UAE has like maybe another week. In other words, the Gulf will not be able to defend itself in any way whatsoever. They're getting up right now, okay? And they'll sit there and say, we intercepted 90% of the drones that came in. Okay, they only need a couple to hit. That's all they need. One drone made it through and killed 4 soldiers. That's unacceptable. So unless it's 100%, I don't give a just because you shot down 90%, 80%, that doesn't matter. They only need a few to get through. Idiots. We shot down 90%. And that's the goal, idiot. That's the goal, is to waste interceptors. That is why in the first couple of days, the Iranians just flooded the skies with drones and missiles. That's what they're trying to do. Even Marco Rubio admitted, yeah, we're making like 1 interceptor and they're making hundreds of missiles a month. So what does that mean? That means that the longer the war goes on, the worse off it is. Price of oil soars up, price of gas soars up, interceptors go down, damages become worse. Incredible. Incredible. So this is not in our benefit whatsoever.